Hello, hello, hello. This is Talking Manchester United, a United Stand podcast with myself, Paul Gardner. And joining me as always is Ash Burns. Ash, how are you, my friend?
Well, after that weekend, you can't really complain too much, can you? Yeah,
we cannot.
Good, mate. How about you? You right?
I'm grand. Yeah, absolutely thrilled after that result. Let's not waste any time. Let's get on with it. I think so. 2-1.
Yeah.
A result I think many people, myself included, didn't expect. I was feeling a little bit nervous before the game, but an early brace from Rashford. Even Bailly got on the score sheet. Look at that. Granted in the wrong goal, but a deserved win, I think. Just one quick thing I will say before the game in Jose's pre-match press conference, when asked the question if he was worried about, I mean, not in his exact words, but was he worried about the quality that Liverpool bring and the strength of their forwards and their attack? Was he worried about that? And he said, you know, they have weaknesses, as do we. And I think he showed that to the world when we played against Liverpool, because there was one stat that came up during the game, late on in the game, that I think 66% of our attacks came down the left-hand side. So he obviously seen that as their weakness. Alexander-Arnold, not the best right back in the world, and put Rashford out there on the left, knowing he could use his pace, and it paid dividends, didn't it? What were your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, it was one of those. I was exactly the same as you. I was quite sceptical. I was very nervous going into the game, and I didn't expect us. As much as I wanted us to win, I thought it was going to be a little bit nervy, a little bit tetchy, back to the wall, and I thought, you know, we might scrape a draw, just down to the form of the two sides. But it was so refreshing to see us come out of the blocks and perform well in the first half, because I think of late we've you know, had a dodgy first half. You know, only have to look as far as Chelsea and Palace. You know, dodgy first halves. Then we've picked it up in the second half and brought it back. So it was nice to see us, you know, go out, you know, out of the gate, nice and quick, high press, and taking the game to them. And I think that may have surprised Liverpool somewhat. And as you said, yeah, and it was an absolute masterclass from Jose, I have to say. Most of the positions on the pitch, we were superb everywhere. A lot of good individual performances, a very good team performance, and it was, overall, I cannot complain. It was maybe the second half was a little bit frustrating as we did sort of sit back, but to be honest, I think we should have been 3-0 up at half time. I was gutted that Mata missed that overhead kick, because if that goes in, it's it's a special one. But
it was that really annoyed me, because it wasn't just the fact that he missed it; it was the fact that he had so much time.
Yeah. Did.
Completely unmarked, one-on-one with the keeper. The keeper wasn't even coming out.
No.
You know, I think he wanted that glorious moment, because he's done it before, didn't he, at Anfield?
Yeah, that was it. I think that was in his mind when the ball came over to him. And, you know, more often than not, he buries that. So, yeah, that was frustrating. I think we go in at 3-0, you know, at half-time. I think it would have been game over then. I think maybe Liverpool would have looked at damage limitation. But, yeah, that 2-0 is always a dangerous scoreline. But I thought we soaked it up really well. I thought we looked pretty comfortable, you know, and as a lot of people will not tell you, including Liverpool fans, they didn't threaten us pretty much at all.
Nope.
De Gea didn't make one, you know, noteworthy save. There was a couple of pot shots from 25, 30 yards that he gathered up, you know, fairly easily, and the only goal they scored was through a fantastic finish from Eric Bailly, also highlighted by the manager, by Jose Mourinho, which I thought was fantastic. It was an awesome bit of humour. Brilliant from him. Just see him having a bit of banter and stuff like that. So
well, it's good to see Jose.
It's
good to see Jose, like you say, then in great spirits now. Isn't it? It's been a little while where he seemed a little bit grumpy, a bit miserable, but in recent weeks he seems to have brightened up a little bit, which is good to see.
Yeah, it was nice, and it was evident. Even, you know, everyone after the game. And we discussed this, didn't we? Was it last week, the week before, about going into this Sevilla game? You know, will depend on the spirits of you know, the post-match feeling after the Liverpool game, and you could just see it from the likes of Pogba congratulating Jose when he was doing his interview, and just everything. I thought everyone was having a laugh, everyone was joking, and it was just a really, really sort of you know, good vibes throughout the dressing room. So yeah, really, really chuffed with the result. Didn't expect that big a performance. So yeah, very, very happy, and yeah, on to the next. Get in.
Yeah, it's certainly a lot more jubilant around Old Trafford at the moment.
Yeah.
You mentioned us coming off the blocks, out the blocks in the first half. Something we haven't seen for quite some time. Usually the first half is the most frustrating part of our part of the game for us, because we don't seem to start until late on in the second half, or or until we go a goal down. So I was quite surprised, as you were, to see that we did create stuff and get forward during the first half. Now let's not get ahead of ourselves or carried away. It wasn't all United in the first half. I thought the first half was quite fairly even. However, Liverpool created very little, and like you said, De Gea barely had a save to make, apart from the couple of long shots that were straight at him, and comfortable to save. When we got forward, we did look a lot more dangerous, and as you say, we should have made it 3-0 with the Mata shot. I thought Liverpool got a bit more edge on us sort of towards the end of the first half, as you would expect, being 2-0 down. And then, the second half, I'm not sure. Well, okay, we did sit back, obviously. But I thought that was going to be inevitable. When you're 2-0 up and it's against a fierce rival like that, normally that's going to be the case. I think if it had been the other way round and Liverpool were 2-0 up, I think it would have been all Man United. So I think that was a given that it was going to be like that at 2-0. I think had it been 0-0 and they were getting dominated, I think that then would have become an issue.
Yeah.
Now, one player. Let's talk about some of the players individually now. We've established that it was a great team performance. We got the job done early, if you like, which afforded us to be able to sit back and block them out. But when we did, let's also point out as well, when we did get possession, we did try and go forward as well. It wasn't just a case of lumping up to Lukaku, who misses it, and then we're back on the back foot all the time. We did try and get forward as well, which was good to see. Now, one player that we have been watching with a close eye recently is Scott McTominay.
Yeah.
We sung his praises against Chelsea. His performances, as I said last week, were on an upward trajectory the week before.
Yeah.
Didn't do so well against Palace. What did you make of him against Liverpool?
Superb. I thought he was very, very good. And as you rightly said, we've been watching him quite closely, and I thought I was a little, when I saw the team news, obviously Pogba out, Martial out, I wasn't as concerned as I thought I would be, because I thought we would get that balance a little bit better, which turned out we did. But with McTominay, after his performance against Palace, I was a little bit concerned. Especially looking at that sort of two-man midfield of Matic and McTominay, how slow would that be against Liverpool as they transition so quickly through midfield? But I was really impressed with him, and he almost played the Matic role in my opinion, because he was always tracking his runners. I think there was one occasion similar to the Chelsea game. I think there was one occasion where he didn't track his runner, and it led to sort of a half chance for Liverpool, but nothing really came of it. And that was the only mistake I picked up. I think that was the first half. The only mistake I picked up. Everything else was immaculate from him. I thought his ball retention was really good. His tracking, his interceptions were great. And I thought he bossed the midfield really, really well. Alongside, I thought Matic was a little bit more quiet, but I thought you look at that midfield. Matic had a quiet game. Who else is in that midfield? McTominay. And we did so well in that first half. So for me, it shows how well he did. But I thought a big difference, I think, from everything was the support that we gave our players, which is something that we haven't seen in a while. And is that the likes of Pogba, Martial. Who is that? And I think Mata helped McTominay in a big way, because he loves to receive the ball to feet. He will drift in and out of positions to get the ball. So I think that was a big help as well. I was really, really impressed with him. And it showed big character to go into a game of such magnitude and perform so well. And also a lot of character coming off that Palace performance, where he was pretty much anonymous for that first half and then went off. So to get back on the horse and put in that performance, I was really impressed with him, and he is going up in my estimation every week. So fair play to him. If he keeps on this sort of these performances, he's in my team for me.
That is quite a, what's the best word to use? Not surprising, but let's just say that reaction from you regarding McTominay is quite nice to hear. Now, for anyone listening, if this is the first time you've listened to this podcast, just go back a month, 4 weeks ago, and listen to Ash speaking about McTominay then. The difference, unbelievable. And that's a testament to Scott McTominay in the improvement that he's made just in the last month alone. So fair play to Scott, I would say. I thought he was good as well. Him and Matic together, I'd probably rate them 7 out of 10 in that game. You might go higher based on your comments about McTominay there. I'd say you probably rate him about an 8, 8.5, maybe even a 9. I don't know.
Yeah, probably about an 8-ish. Yeah.
I would say 7 out of 10. Now I think they both did a fantastic job overall protecting that defence. But with McTominay, there were times in that game. Now it might be a bit harsh me saying this, but hear me out. There were times in that game where I thought he was just a little bit too conservative. And what I mean by that is that there were 3 or 4, maybe even 5 occasions where he had a player like in front of him, and he was too soft. He let the player get past him far too easily. And when you're looking at a defender who's protecting his defence, you want them to have a little bit more bite than that.
Yeah.
You know, make it difficult for the player to get past you. You're not always going to stop them, because sometimes you've got to be careful about, you know, conceding a free kick, especially in dangerous areas like that. But I expected a little bit more bite from him. Too many times players skip past him.
Yeah.
That doesn't compare to the amount of times they did well in protecting the defence, but there were occasions like that, and I thought that was a bit too easy. He got past you a bit too easy there. But one thing I did also notice from that is that when players did skip past him, they were coming in on the inside.
Yeah.
Now I'm thinking, was that planned? Was that what he's been told? You know, don't go jumping in, because you know how passionate these young players can be. You've seen it with Rashford yesterday on Saturday against Liverpool. He almost got sent off.
Yeah.
But maybe that was instructed to McTominay. Look, show the players inside, because that's where a lot of their players are going to be. They're making runs in the middle. You know, try not to let them get the ball out wide. Because when they put a cross in, across the 6-yard box, that could be dangerous. I don't know. I'm trying to make McTominay look good here in my criticism, if that makes sense.
But that's a really good point, because what I did notice, and I think quite a few others have picked up on this, was Liverpool's lack of width in the final third, because we know how dangerous they can be with that front three, and it really showed how much width they lacked against us. So it's a really good point that you say that, you know, maybe McTominay was instructed to bring them inside, you know, kill their width. We've got a nice flat back four with the 2 sitting in front, you know, and to shield and just let them play in front of you. So, you know, it could well have been. It worked, whatever it was, because, you know, we hardly conceded any sort of real clear-cut chances. So maybe that was the case. And another thing I was...
Not only that, hold that thought, not only that, in the post-match interview, I think, with Jose, I think he was asked a question about what he thought, because apparently some fans jeered McTominay a little bit during the game. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. I didn't hear it. But I think Mourinho was asked the question, and Mourinho defended him, saying, that's crazy. He was fantastic today.
Yeah.
That's another thing that made me think, well, okay, maybe what he was doing was what Mourinho instructed him to do.
Yeah. And what another thing I thought you were going to pick up on was when you said, you know, when you mentioned the word conservative with his passing, and I that was one thing I picked up on, was the midfield's passing. It wasn't sort of over exuberant. It wasn't, you know, very dynamic and creative, and I think there was a few people saying that, you know, it was a little bit side to side and a little bit this and that. But the one thing that I did pick up on was, because of that, because we kept it more conservative, we kept it simpler, and we transitioned, you know, not rapidly, but we built up slowly, and we, you know, made sure we retained possession, because we all know what Liverpool are like on the break. If you give that ball away in midfield, more often than not, Liverpool are going to counter. They got, you know, very quick passing in between them, and they can get forward quickly. So I think our inability, in a way, to play creative football from the midfield actually helped us against Liverpool, because I think we didn't give the ball away as much as we could have, and I thought it really sort of hurt them in a way that they were expecting us, I think, maybe to give the ball away a bit more in midfield and to nick it in midfield so they could transition quickly. So another thing I was quietly impressed by, even if it wasn't intentional, if you know what I mean.
No, that's a very, very good point, actually, and I think, now you've said that, I do remember there was one instance when McTominay, we were in an advanced position, essentially, and the ball came back to McTominay, I think from maybe Lukaku.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. And there wasn't really much on for McTominay, and he turned around and he came backwards and passed it backwards. I did hear some groans in the crowd. I groaned as well, I'll be honest. But yeah, and I think that might be what prompted the question to Jose and why Jose said it was fantastic. And you're absolutely right there in what you say, because Liverpool are known for their front three coming back. When they lose possession, coming back and snatching it back again. We've seen Salah do it once or twice against Rashford. Salah come all the way back down that touchline. Firmino did it a couple of times. There was a stat went out, that he's made the most tackles of strikers in the Premier League.
Yeah.
But they're known for doing that, snatching the ball back high up the pitch with their high press, and then going on a counter. So you're absolutely right there when you say that, and that's probably another thing that McTominay was told. Look, if you've got possession and there's no immediate clear pass to go forward, do not concede possession against these players because they will hit us. So I think, like you say, he was spot on to do that, bring it back, keep it safe. We retained possession, and then went up again the other side. So I thought that was great from McTominay. But again, for me, like I said, I don't know if he was instructed to be conservative in his tackling or to shepherd players inside. But for me, for my midfielders, defensive midfielders, or not even defensive midfielders, just midfielders in general, just to have a bit more bite, not let players skip past so easily. So for that, I give McTominay a 7. I kind of wanted to give him an 8. So I don't know, but I thought he had a good performance nonetheless.
Yeah.
Any other players stand out for you? I think obviously Rashford with the 2 goals.
I was going to say the obvious one is staring us in the face, really, isn't it? Marcus Rashford, who, where did that come from?
I know. Well, when I seen him in the lineup, I thought, okay. I hope he pulls something out of the bag, because he had that great run of form, and then January he was poor and he was left out of the team for a long time. It's his first start since last year.
Boxing Day.
Yeah. And brilliant. I thought. I mean, let's talk about that first goal, because that wasn't as easy as he made it look.
No.
Because Alexander-Arnold did fairly well in making him go wide. Although I think Lukaku's header, the pace on Lukaku's header made it difficult for Rashford to control, which I think that's what dragged it wide. But then Rashford's composure to that little back heel flick, that little turn, the weight of that little flick as well. It was so perfect. He didn't need to take another touch. He just turned, looked up at the goal, and he didn't just place it. But the technique in that shot as well, the keeper stood no chance. I mean, you look at that. I've seen comparisons to Ronaldo.
Yeah.
In fact, somebody put a tweet out earlier which actually had a video clip of Rashford's goal against the Ronaldo goal, and it is exactly the same. Yeah. The technique as well, body shape, the way he strikes the ball, everything was exactly the same. And I'm pretty sure that Rashford actually come out and said he wants to model his game on Ronaldo. And it's not the first time we've seen similarities. Now, I'm not here saying he's going to be the next Ronaldo. I'm just saying that's not a bad person to model your game on.
No, not at all. Not at all. Yeah, and it was the first thing. As soon as he hit that, as soon as he chopped inside, I thought, that's Ronaldo all over. That he's probably seen it. As a young kid, he's coming up. He's idolised him, and exactly as you said, he wants to model his game. And it was, and I'm glad you said it wasn't as easy, as he made it out to be, because. First of all, massive credit goes to Lukaku. Absolutely bullied Lovren off the ball. Stands no chance. Perfect flick over. And then that little header from Rashford absolutely fluffs it. I thought, he's headed that into the ground. He's fluffed it. He's going to, bring it back or lose it or something. But yeah, he only had one thing in his mind. And I'm glad he did, because, at times, a player like Rashford, who's not been in the team a lot, maybe his confidence is a little bit low. Obviously it wasn't, but it could appear that his confidence is a little bit low. Look to square it, but now he had one thought in his mind, and as you said, he didn't, but he absolutely rifled it into the bottom corner. And I think as soon as that goes in, I think it is tails up. He knows he's onto something again. Second goal, decent finish, a little bit lucky, but to be in that position again and to have created the chance to get there, it is fantastic. I thought he was a little bit unlucky after that. I thought there was a period in between the 2 goals where I thought he was very good. I thought he attacked, he was very direct, and he was unlucky not to receive more service. From the likes of Mata and Lukaku, which was frustrating. But no, very good. Very pleased with him, and I'd like to see him start next game.
I think in a different game where we're not up against opposition, where when we're 2-0 up, we're going to be under the cosh, which, like I said earlier on in the podcast, it's inevitable in that kind of a game, whether you're home or away. I think in a different game, where we dominate possession for the majority of it, which you do see often, not so much recently, but before, we have seen it often. I think he gets more service, more chance to impress. So yeah, I think the fact they didn't get very much in the second half of the game was kind of understandable, really. But no, that fantastic performance, deserved of the man of the match award. Lukaku stepped up again in a big game. Didn't get on the score sheet, but he had a big say in bullying his defenders and a big say in his 2 goals as well. And again, in a different game, he might have got more service as well. Let's have a look. Eric Bailly, another player who's had his first start since coming back from injury. How did you rate his performance? For me, it's a solid 8.
Well, from up until the goal, the great finish, by the way. Well, especially that first half up to the goal. I said he was the best player on the pitch. I thought he was absolutely superb up until the goal. I thought he bullied the forwards. The little shoulder barge on Milner was superb. I loved that. Absolutely ruined him into the billboards, which is brilliant. And I put a tweet out during the game that how much we've missed, not just him but his character and someone with him with the set of bollocks, I think the term I used, in that midfield. And it was, and I thought Chris Smalling did really well as well in the game. I slate him a lot,
definitely,
and I do, but I do think he did well. And the reason I think a big part of the reason he did well is because he had Eric Bailly alongside him, and I thought Bailly did a fantastic job of directing that defence. You saw him throughout the game shouting at people, pulling them about, and I thought it was fantastic. And I think we've really missed his, again, I don't want to say that word, but his overall his passion. I think his drive, his determination, and I thought he's just a tank. And it's sort of that take no shit attitude that he's got, and I think we've really missed that in the defence. So it was fantastic to get him back, and I was singing his praises, and then he goes and spoons it into his own net, which was great. But no, even after the goal, I thought he was going off, and I was really frustrated. But fair play, he picked himself back up. He did well. There was a couple of brilliant clears, blocks, and challenges he made in the last 10 minutes. I think it was. There was one on the left, one on the right, which I thought he was really impressed. So to have him back, hopefully he's fit. Hopefully that knock he took didn't do too much to him. But yeah, that's only going to stand us in great stead going on to finish off the season.
Well, I'm glad you said, because you were saying up to the first goal. I'm glad you continued to say then afterwards, after the goal, he was still fantastic, because he was. Yeah,
he was.
I was nervous when he went down with that injury, and it looked like he was going to be coming off. Lindelof was stripped and ready to go. And then when Mourinho told Lindelof to carry on, I thought, great, Bailly's going to continue, and he came back out on the pitch, and I thought, but how long is he going to continue for? Because it was the same ankle, I think, that he had the problem with. Yeah. Because the commentator was saying, it was an ankle injury he had. He's looking at his ankle, etc., etc. And I was a little bit nervous, I have to admit. But he continued for the rest of the game, and as far as I know, I've not heard anything since Saturday. That injury is there is no injury essentially. Yeah. So hopefully we can keep him fit, because he makes such a huge difference to that defence. Like you said, he's a leader, he's vocal, and that's what we need at the moment. Yeah. Credit to Smalling as well, as you said, but also another player that people wanted not out, but didn't want to play against Liverpool was Ashley Young. Yeah. Salah who?
Yeah, who was that bloke?
I think someone put a tweet out, more like no Salah.
Yeah, it was. And have you seen the post from Ashley Young today on Instagram?
I haven't.
He's posted a picture. Well, someone's taken a picture of him. Ashley Young is looking at the camera with his hands sort of towards his shorts, and he says, "Everyone keeps asking me, please stop. He's not in there." Because obviously there's so many memes about the pocket, so that was a great bit of banter from Ash as well.
Excellent. So fantastic team performance, some great individual performances, and 3 points and a victory against Liverpool. Get in.
Yes.
Shall we look forward?
We shall. So yeah,
before we do, if you're listening, of course you're listening. Let us know what you think on the Man United Liverpool game. Do you agree with what we said? We're on YouTube, so if you're listening on YouTube, make sure to drop a comment. If you're listening on a podcast app, tweet us. You can find us on Twitter at UnitedStandPod. You can find me at Paul Gardner LP or Ash at Ashboyo, ASHBOIO. I feel like I have to spell it out, Ash, because you normally do as well.
I know, I do, because so many people get it wrong. They put a Y or something or something.
And if you are listening on YouTube, well, there's no point me telling you where to find us on YouTube because you're already listening.
Yeah,
So subscribe and drop a comment. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, let's move forward then, Ash. Preview.
Yes. Yeah, so new little segment that we are going to be sort of playing with on the podcast. Looking forward to upcoming games.
I'm going to interrupt you again.
Oh, look at this.
I was just thinking, right, we got through that review, if you like, of Liverpool.
Yeah.
And we're 25 minutes in. The next thing normally would be going over to Twitter, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
And I'd always be saying, let's try and keep it to 30 minutes. And the one day we could have done that, we've introduced a new section. Anyway. Like we said last week, we're not going to worry about keeping to 30 minutes. People want longer podcasts, so we're just going to talk until we're finished, basically.
Yeah.
So let's try again.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah, so previews, looking at upcoming games, looking at different things like the forms of the opposition team, who are we going to look out for, who are the danger men, how we're going to set up tactics we should use, starting 11, score predictions, all that juicy stuff. First of all then, tomorrow night, Sevilla. So coming off that 0-0 in Seville, I think it sets us up for, in my opinion, what I've said for the past sort of week or so, a very dangerous second leg. I never like going out, playing the away leg first and not scoring an away goal because I think it really sets us up for a difficult game back at home. That being said, I think we should still be firm favourites to go through. I think we've got more than enough to put them away. But what do you think, Paul? Do you think it's going to be a tough game? Do you think we're going to get the win? And how do you think that first game has set us up ready for this second leg?
Well, the first game is a very poor game on our part.
Yeah.
I think we made Sevilla look good. We allowed them too easily to play their game and dominate us. We only had one shot on target from McTominay, funnily enough.
Yeah.
And it was a couple of world-class saves from De Gea that actually spared our blushes, if you will.
Yeah.
So I think if we can bring our A game and not allow them to play their game, then I think we should be comfortable. Their form hasn't been great. They've won 3 of their last 6 games.
Yeah.
You know, it's not fantastic, is it? They've lost 2 of them. It's not like they've won 3, drawn 3. They've actually lost 2 of their games.
Yeah.
The most recent one on Saturday, actually, at home to Valencia. They lost 2-0.
That's it. Yep.
Them and Valencia both challenging for Champions League spot. So that's going to be quite a significant loss to them. So I think they're probably going to be a little bit down in morale. They're coming to Old Trafford, Theatre of Dreams. They know that we've just beat our biggest rivals in possibly one of the biggest football derbies in the world. I'm confident. I'm forgetting that last match because I think that was a false.
Yeah.
You know, we were rubbish. We made them look good. We made them look good. So I'm forgetting that last game. Yeah, you're right. Okay, we didn't get an away goal, so it means we have to win the game. But I'm confident we can do it.
Yeah, I'm with you. As I said, especially, we did speak about it week before last or last week, whenever it was. That a big part of our mentality will rest on how we went at and addressed these last couple of games that have been. And if you look at the games that we've just played, after Sevilla, that massive win against Chelsea, fantastic comeback against Palace, and then took apart Liverpool at the weekend. I don't think we could have asked for anything more going into this game. Fully expect us to get the win. They're not going to go down without a fight. We've seen that they can be formidable. They can score goals for all their fragilities at the back. They're still dangerous. So looking, at their forward line, looking at their best players, picked out a few to look at. You look at Muriel. He sort of stands out for me the most because I've looked a lot at Muriel over the last couple of years. He was an absolute FIFA god back in FIFA 12 or whatever it was. For those of you who play FIFA, so I followed him from there. Very dangerous player, very quick. And we saw that in the first leg. Should have really scored that header that De Gea made a ridiculous save against. I think he was the other one as well that had that shot from distance that De Gea had to sprawl across and make the save. I think he's going to be, quite dangerous. I think, if we've got the likes of Bailly back in the side, if we play Smalling or not, I think they're more than big and strong enough, to bully him physically and, make themselves known. And I think, they could have a little bit better time with him. Another player I think as well that we really need to keep tabs on, and whether that's McTominay, whether it's Matic, is Eva Benenga, because I think he's a very good creative player. He can, pick a pass out of nothing. Almost that sort of Rakitic role that Barca, that Rakitic does for Barca. So I think that's going to be a big part of our game, is to stop that. I don't even know what the word is. The service into Benega, I think, is what I was trying to say. And then the other one I picked out was Correa on the left-hand side, number 11. I think he causes a few problems in the first leg.
Now speaking of FIFA gods,
go on.
Andrea Correa is one of them. Because from FIFA 14 onwards, I always used the scouting system.
Yeah.
And I always look for youth, and he always popped up in every game. And every time I bought him, I made him my main striker straight away because he's absolutely fantastic on FIFA.
Yeah.
And the first time I actually seen him play for real was that first leg, and I was quite impressed.
Yeah. Yeah, he is a dangerous player, and I think if Valencia's playing, he's going to have his work cut out for him. I fully expect him to do a job on him though, and I'm hoping that we do put in the type of performance that's not going to have us worrying too much about what's going on behind us instead of what's going on in front of us. I think if we play anything to the level that we played against Liverpool, I really don't think there's going to be much of a problem. So speaking of how we set up against Liverpool and how we're going to set up against Sevilla, what do you think is our best system then going into this game? How should we set up? How should we approach the game?
Well, just before we go on to the system, I think there's a couple of other players worth mentioning in the Sevilla team as well.
Oh, yeah.
Correa, obviously one of them. He gave Valencia torrid time in that first half, forcing, running at Valencia, forcing him back, getting around him. He caused him a lot of problems. Yeah. So he's definitely one to watch out for. He hasn't scored many goals, he hasn't created many assists, Andrea Correa, but he's definitely got the ability, so we need to watch him. Now, another player, it's going to be pretty pointless me mentioning him because he's a doubt for the game anyway, I think through injury, and that's Jesus Navas, the right back, because he's got a lot of pace and he's got a fantastic cross on him.
Yeah.
But I do think he's missing the game, so he might not be anyone to worry about. But there is one other. This might come as a surprise to some people, but that's Ben Yedder.
Yeah.
Now, he's not a regular starter. He's only played 14 games, 8 as a sub. But he is their joint top scorer.
Top scorer, yeah, I thought it was.
With 6 goals. And all of those 6 goals have come from 6 appearances in the Champions League. So I don't know. Maybe their boss might keep a note of that, and he might start. He'll most certainly get some minutes. That's for sure. So I think he's another player that we need to watch out for. System. I think.
How are we going to set up?
Go on.
How are we going to set up?
Well, I think we should go exactly the same, unchanged from Liverpool.
Yeah.
4-2-3-1. The reason for that is because Sevilla play a 4-2-3-1 as well. They've played that quite predominantly, that formation. In fact, looking back over the last 7 or 8 games, I don't think they've played any other formation other than 4-2-3-1. So they're going to play that. I think we should play a 4-2-3-1. I think we should keep exactly the same team. As in, you don't need me to read the team out, but I will anyway. De Gea in goal, Valencia, Bailly, Smalling and Young, Matic, McTominay, and then Mata, Sanchez, Rashford and Lukaku up front. Pogba and Martial are doubts for the game. Even if they weren't, I'd be leaving them out anyway. Keep them on the bench if they are fit. I don't think they will be. But I would stick with the same team because we've seen against Liverpool a lot more balance overall without those 2 in the team than we did with them in the team. And I don't think that's a coincidence. Pogba's been very bad recently. Too slow. He's not getting back and helping out defensively. He's just trotting around a lot and it's frustrating to watch. So putting him in a 4-2-3-1 as a player protecting defence is not going to work. So that's what I would do. I'd keep it 4-2-3-1. Same team, same approach as against Liverpool.
Yeah, we're both boring, aren't we? Because it's exactly what I do.
Well, to be honest with you, I think that's what most people are going to say.
Yeah.
Because that was a good performance. And people can say, but with the second half, we just, defended. But like I said earlier, that's inevitable in that sort of a game. When you're 2-0 up, the other team are going to come at you. And it would have been the same the other way around against any of the top 6.
Yeah. So that moves us on nicely then to score prediction. What's it going to be?
I'm confident, and I'm going to say we're going to win it 2-0.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'd have gone 2-0. No, I'm going to go 3-0.
I admire your optimism.
Yeah, why not? I was a little bit reserved, a little bit negative, you could say, leading up to the Liverpool game. So no, I'm going to turn it round. I'm going to say we're going to quietly, not quietly, but we're going to walk it in a sense.
Well, I hope we do.
Seems and this comes back and bite me. No. I think we, as you rightly said, I think we've got more than enough in the tank to beat them. As long as we set up, as we did against Liverpool, press them high, play decent attacking football, move the ball quickly. I think we'll be absolutely fine. With the crowd behind them, floodlights on, Champions League at Old Trafford, nothing better.
Excellent.
So looking a little bit further then, Brighton and Hove Albion. Is that home or is that away?
It's home.
I think I didn't look at it. It is home again. So looking at Brighton then, slightly better sort of form than Sevilla. Then you look at it. The last 3 games, beat the Swans 4-1, beat Arsenal 2-1, and then lost 2-0 to Everton at the weekend. How much of a challenge do you think Brighton are going to give us, following those 3 performances?
Well, I'm hoping not the same sort of challenge they gave us earlier in the season when we played them at home. We won 1-0, thanks to an own goal from Dunk. It was an Ashley Young shot which looped up over the keeper. Actually, a game that Mourinho described as United's most difficult game of the season, which is some credit to Brighton there. They were the better team most of the game. And as you quite rightly say, their form has been fantastic. 4 wins in the last 6. They're scoring goals for fun as well, 2s, 3s and 4s. I mean, their opposition hasn't been great. They played West Ham, Swansea. Although Swansea hit a bit of good form, didn't they, under their new manager?
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
Arsenal, and I say poor opposition. Let's face it, Arsenal have been dire this season so far. But let's not take anything from Brighton. To get wins like that is quite something. But they've not had any clean sheets in any of those games, so they're not. They're susceptible to conceding goals as well. Despite that, despite their great form in their last 6 games and the fact that they're scoring lots of goals, I still think we should be beating them in the FA Cup, and I think fairly comfortably.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think, again, it's been those sort of games of late, I think, that have really, put us to the test. But I think the further we go through the season and the more games we play, I think the better we become in a way. Or the more confidence I think we exude going through each of these games, because a couple of weeks ago you'd have looked at the likes of us having Sevilla, looking at Chelsea, looking at Liverpool, and thinking that this is going to be a tough period for us, and how we're going to cope with it. But so far so good, and I think, as you rightly said, we should be breezing past Brighton fairly comfortably, in my opinion. They've got some players, as you rightly said, they're scoring goals for fun. There's a couple of players who are in decent form. Mr. Murray seems to be in pretty good form of late. Bagged himself a few. And I've picked out 2 others for me who I think could cause us some problems. Izquierdo, I think I've watched him quite a bit this season because he intrigued me when he came to the Premier League. Just for the fact of how nimble and how quick he is. And I think he could cause us some problems. Again, I see it quite similar to that Correa, that sort of similar style of play, although I think Izquierdo is a little bit more direct. I think he could cause us some issues. And another player who I've been sort of quietly impressed by this season is Knockout, which I would have been concerned a little bit about him, especially if he was going up against the likes of Ashley Young. He is out. He got sent off against Everton. So that was that was a big plus for me. He won't be playing, and do you know what? Other than that, looked through their squad, looked at recent results. I'm not too concerned about them again going forward too much.
I think there's one player you are missing.
Go on.
Glenn Murray's definitely one. 11 goals in 20 appearances. It's not bad. Playing for Brighton. Another player is the player who plays just behind him, Pascal Gross. Attacking midfielder. They play a 4-4-1-1 formation, 4-4-2, but Pascal sort of plays between the midfield and just behind Glenn Murray. Now, Pascal, I think his surname is pronounced Gross, something like that anyway. 5 goals and 8 assists in 28 appearances. Now, that's not a lot, but playing for Brighton, that's not bad. No. You know, he's their assist leader with 8. And when they played against Arsenal, which was only a couple of weeks ago, 4th of March, the winner came from a link-up between Pascal and Murray. Pascal got the assist for Murray's goal. So I think with Murray with 11 goals, 20 appearances, Pascal contributing with 5 goals and getting 8 assists so far this season, I think he is another player to watch as well. If they can link up well together, I think they could cause us some problems. But I don't, you know, like I said, 5 goals and 8 assists isn't groundbreaking, but in a team like Brighton, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
So I think Pascal is another player to watch out for.
Interesting. Again, keep an eye. It's sort of 6s and 7s at the moment, and it could be a flip of a coin, and what players turn up. Again, obviously, big cup game, anything could happen. But again, it is a cup game. It is following 2 what I'm assuming is going to be tough matches. Tough match against Liverpool. I can't see Sevilla, although I'm very confident. You know, you never know what Sevilla team will turn up. So how do you think then we should set up? Do you think, following the Palace game, following the Liverpool game, and then looking at our squad, the injuries we've got, who we're going to play tomorrow night, do you think we should be rotating then for Brighton? We should be bringing players like Lingard to having a start, looking at different players, bringing in some fringe players to play, the likes of maybe Luke Shaw. If Phil Jones is back fit, do you think they should play, or do you think we should keep sticking with the same team that's doing the biz?
Absolutely some rotation. At home to Brighton, I think, is an opportune game just before the international break as well, I believe. I know there's a big gap, 17th we play Brighton, then we don't play again then until the end of the month. I think that's when the international break is.
That's it, yeah.
But yeah, I do think we should mix it up a little bit. I wasn't sure about the formation. I was trying to think, should we go 3-5-2, 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1, and I was thinking about the players I want to bring in, players I would leave out. So I went with the 4-3-3. It's difficult with the midfield because we don't have many.
Yeah, that's it.
So I've gone with a 4-3-3, which is quite an attacking formation. Now, I've picked this team based on Pogba and Martial being available. From what I can tell, I think they will be by the time Brighton rolls around. David De Gea in goal. Defence, right back again, Valencia. There's not really anybody else. I mean, Darmian might get the nod, but I can't see that. He hasn't played for so long. I was thinking, if we had another game after this, maybe take Valencia out and play Darmian there. I don't know. Or put Young out on the right. I don't know. But for this game, soon as there's an international break afterwards, I've kept Valencia in it right back.
Yeah.
Kept Bailly in there, because I think he needs to have a run of games now.
Yeah.
And I've put him with Lindelof. Give Smalling a rest. Let's try out a Bailly and Lindelof partnership. Let's see how that works.
Yeah.
Left back Luke Shaw. Give him some more minutes. So that's what I would do with the defence, because that is still a solid defence. That's not just putting players in for the sake of it. That is still thinking that is a good defence. Lindelof has improved in his time here. Bailly is just Bailly. Yeah. Valencia's solid, and we know that Shaw's got the ability to be able to perform fantastically, both offensively and defensively. Yep. So I think that's a good defence. Midfield, keep McTominay in there. He's only 21, doesn't need a rest yet. Matic and Pogba. Yep. Okay, put Pogba back on the left side of a 3 again. Give him another shot at shining against Brighton. He shouldn't have too much of a problem to do that. So McTominay, Matic, Pogba, midfield 3. It's a midfield 3 that ideally we would like to see anyway.
Yeah.
But with Pogba performing quite badly recently, it sort of hasn't really worked out. So at home against Brighton with an international break coming afterwards, I think let's do it. Let's put McTominay, Matic, and Pogba together, and then the front 3. I would keep Mata on the right because he doesn't play a lot of minutes. He can do well, like you said. He helped out McTominay very well. He can link up the play between the midfield and the attack very well. You've got Valencia to overlap him if necessary to keep that width. I would put Rashford up front, give Lukaku a rest, and then Martial on the left. So you get the pace of Martial and Rashford. Martial in his favoured position on the left-hand side. Rashford up front, we all want to see him. Although it does seem like he's developing his game now to play as a winger, which he might be forced to if he wants to stay at United. And keep Mata on the right. So that's what I reckon. That's what I'd go for.
Interesting. Some similarities, some differences. I've gone for. Who are you playing in goal? You giving Dave a rest? Or are you playing him? Oh,
no, do you know what? I thought about that. I thought it's probably going to be a case where we see Romero given some minutes.
Yeah.
But I just think that's not fair on De Gea.
Yeah.
You know, he wants to win trophies.
Yeah,
exactly. You know, he doesn't want to play the odd game and then claim a if it was me and I played like 2 out of the 8 games or whatever it is in the FA Cup, I wouldn't feel like I've earned that medal.
No.
You know, and in 30 years' time, and looking back at my medal collection, I'd be like, yeah, I only played 2 games in that competition. I don't really feel like I've earned that. Yeah. You know?
That's a valid point.
9 times out of 10, 9.9 times out of 10, your number one keeper is going to play week in, week out.
Yeah.
It's okay playing Romero in the earlier stages, round 1, round 3, round 4, we might have, you know, like your Yovals and things like that. But I think when you get into the later stages and you're playing against, you know, more difficult opposition, I think you should be playing your number one goalkeeper. I think you should do. If you want to keep him at our club, you've got to play him in these sort of games.
Yeah, very true. So I've gone with Romero.
Just after he said very true.
Yeah, just because I think I've gone for a sort of a blend of what Jose might do and what I'd like to see. And it's bang on what you've said. Essentially, you want your best players to play in your biggest games, and this is one of our bigger games this season. So, for every reason that De Gea should be playing, but I think he might stick Romero in there. You know, Romero's been solid, can't knock him. But again, for me, I'd like to see De Gea in there. But I've put Romero in for argument's sake. I got Valencia at right back again because we've not got much options. I suppose you could play Ashley Young there, but again, he's played a lot of matches. He's getting on. So we want to give him a rest. So Valencia there. You went with Bailly and Lindelof. I've gone with Jones and Lindelof, providing that Phil Jones is fit.
So you don't want Bailly to get his another 90 minutes under his belt?
I do, but the thing is,
no, you don't. You just said you wanted Lindelof to play with Jones.
But I'd love him to play. But the thing is, I expect him and I want him to play against Sevilla. And I really don't want to risk him because I think, you know, as much as we talked about Pogba being integral to our side, I think, you know, that performance against Liverpool has shown us how much we need a leader at the back. And I think we should be doing everything to protect him. You know, he's coming off an injury. He picked up a little bit of a knock. Obviously, we've not heard anything following the Liverpool game, so I'm assuming he's okay. But he did take a bit of a knock. So, providing he comes through Sevilla, if he's raring to go, I don't know. But I'd like to see him given a little bit of a rest.
No, fair enough.
That's the only reason, just to try and keep him fresh. Luke Shaw at left back, obviously. If it was up to me, he'd be playing there every game.
So what formation are you going with?
I've gone for a 4-3-3.
Oh, you've gone for a 4-3-3 as well, okay.
Yeah, 4-3-3. So that's the back four. And then I've gone for a 3-man midfield, which is a little bit different. Kept McTominay, spot on. He's only young. He's going to have the legs. And I've gone either side of McTominay then, Pogba on the left and Juan Mata on the right.
Interesting. I've often thought about putting Mata in a 3-man midfield. Yeah,
just because I think it's a home tie. I think we've got more than enough at the back. Depending on what we play. We're playing at home. We should be attacking. So I think we shouldn't have to stress too much on the defensive midfield side of things. And I think Mata can do a job at central midfield. I think his ball retention's fantastic, his vision, and his fluidity of passing is really good. So I'd like to see him, link up with Pogba in that midfield, and then a front three of done exactly the same as you. Put Rashford at number 9 up top, and I've actually put Martial and Sanchez either side of him. So you've sort of got Rashford, Sanchez and Martial up front with Mata behind them, because I think that could be very interesting. Probably won't I'm almost guaranteed that it won't happen, but it'd be something I'd love to see. So that's the 11 that I've gone for.
No, I like it. I do think though, I don't think Martial will get a look in against Sevilla or Brighton. No. I think you're quite right against Brighton. I think Sanchez will still play anyway. Probably because we all know Jose loves him. That's fair enough. It's fair enough. If we win, we win.
So what's the score then?
I've gone 2-0 in this game as well.
Okay. I like the solid 2-0. I'll go for a 2-1 then. As much as I can't see, I'm going to go with a 2-1.
I think that's fair considering Brighton's goal scoring form as of late.
Yeah. So they don't tend to keep clean sheets, but they tend to score. So yeah, I'll go with a 2-1. Through fairly easily, but it could get a little bit sketchy towards the end. That's my prediction.
Fair enough.
Good. So that is all the previews. So time to move over to Twitter.
Let's do it.
Anything else you'd like to add?
No, I think that's it. Let's do it. Let's get over to Twitter.
So only a couple of comments.
Actually, no. Before you do,
go on.
To those of you listening, let us know what you think on the games against Sevilla and Brighton. Probably Brighton, because by the time you listen to this, the Sevilla games probably would have come and gone. But what do you think versus Brighton? Would you line up differently, different tactics, formation maybe? What do you think about our predictions? Give us your comments. Let us know. Tweet us. Leave a comment on YouTube.
Good. Right. So as usual, tweet me out. What would you like us to discuss? So, top of the shop then, Mr. Bearded Thing, Matt, again, appeared on the show a couple of weeks back, thanking you for your question. He says, do you think Jose will play Sanchez in the number 10 role in the future, which will allow Pogba and Martial to play on the left side? Also, random as, how would you guys feel about playing Lukaku in the 10 role and having Rashford ahead of him as the striker? So sort of a double-barrel question. So is Sanchez going to play at number 10, and thoughts on Lukaku playing at number 10?
That's a good question, Matt. Thank you very much. I think to get the best out of Pogba, you're better off putting Sanchez in the middle.
Yeah.
Now, the only problem with that is if you put Pogba on the left of the front three, where do you put Martial?
Yeah.
You can't put Pogba in a two-man midfield because he's just useless when it comes to protecting the back four. We've discovered that. But it could work, I suppose, because like I said a couple of weeks ago, we have seen Pogba thrive playing in a two-man midfield. But in games against the big six, we did tend to get overrun. So it's quite a difficult question to answer that one. I would like to see Sanchez at number 10, but it does then mean that we're playing with a two-man midfield. And I don't think Pogba would suit that position. I wouldn't want to see Pogba on the left wing either, so I don't think he has the attributes to play in that position. As a left-sided midfielder, yeah, perhaps, but not as an attacking left winger. I think that's what you were getting at anyway.
And Lukaku at 10?
I want to see him at 9. I really do. I don't think it's a bad thing. But then where do you play other players? Yeah. You think how many number 10s we've got? We don't need another one.
No, that's
I think if you putting Lukaku at number 10, you're then shifting Sanchez out wide, and then where do you put Martial?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We've got too many players for one position.
Yeah, we have.
So I'd rather just see Lukaku playing at number 9. It looks like Rashford probably ain't. Ideally, I'd like to see Rashford and Lukaku interchanging in that centre forward role. Obviously, Lukaku being the main man, being the older one, the more experienced one, the one that's consistently scored 20 goals every year. He would be the main striker. But I would like to see Rashford, coming on and getting more minutes in that position. Like, 70 minutes gone, we're 3-0 up, 2-0 up. Lukaku's got his goal or whatever, or an assist or whatever. Give Rashford 20 minutes. I don't mean in every game, but just more often than what he has been getting. But like I said earlier in this podcast, it does look like he's going to be developing his game playing on the left. And that, if he manages to do that, then I'm happy. If it keeps him at the club, if he can score goals like that on a regular basis, no one's going to complain.
Yeah, fair enough. For me, as much as I'd like to see Sanchez at 10, and I think that's probably would be his best position, playing off the striker. Again, I don't want to see Lukaku, to answer the second part of your question, I don't want to see Lukaku at 10. I think he's so effective as a 9 if we can get the service to him. I think there's very, very few strikers better in the league, coming onto a cross from wide play and sticking the ball in the back of the net with his head or whatever in and around the penalty spot, 6-yard box. So I think we need to get the service to him as a 9. For me though, that's why I want to see at 10. I want to see Pogba at 10, and I know it sounds daft, but I think when we play him in a 2 or a 3-man midfield, I think, as you said, Paul, the defensive duties seem to either get him on a downer, or he's not as confident as he should be. I think you give him that 10 role, that license to patrol in front of, or behind then the front three, I think we could see, something decent. Again, what impact that has on the likes of Martial and Sanchez and Rashford, I don't know. But for me, I think it's definitely worth a shot. I think there's no better player at the club in terms of vision, picking a pass through and taking the ball forward through the final third. So for me, I'd love to see Pogba at 10. If it's not going to be Pogba at 10, I'd rather it be Sanchez. And then, as you said, Paul, maybe have Rashford rotating with Lukaku at 9 and Martial playing wide or whatever. But yeah, for me, happy with Sanchez at 10, but I'd rather see Pogba there.
Yeah.
Next then, Rome's MUFC at Rome's. Thank you again. Another good question. Should Phil Jones leave the club at the end of the season, considering all the points he's cost us this season, whilst being injured for the majority of the time? And who should be the centre back pairing for next season?
I want to say I think he'll leave, but I just don't know at this point. We got quite a lot of centre backs. I mean, you don't need me to list them off. We've listed them off several times. But I think in the pecking order at the moment, Bailly and Smalling are going to be the top two.
Yeah.
Then you've got Lindelof, who's getting a lot of minutes. When Rojo comes back from injury, I think he's a bit more reliable than Phil Jones.
Yeah.
Phil Jones is so far down the pecking order, and he's not. He's only 26, 27. Phil Jones, something like that. I think he should move on because he's, despite what many people say, he is a good defender.
Yeah.
When he's fit. Yeah, he's got a mistake in him. Most defenders have. But I do think he should move on because he's not our best defender. He's not even in the top 3 at the moment. But I do think he will get a lot more minutes playing, the mid-table team, let's say.
Yeah.
So I do think, for his own benefit, that he should move on in the summer. Not just based on the fact that he's cost us points and that he's always injured, just the fact that we have better defenders and he's not going to get a lot of time even if he was fit. So I think he should move on.
Yeah, I think he should. Do I think he will? Probably not.
No.
I think I've seen myself compare the likes of Jones and Smalling to herpes before now. They just don't go away. It's a horrendous analogy, but it's the only one I could think of at the time. But I think there's a little bit more value to keeping maybe Chris Smalling. Horrendous, I know. But as long as he's got a decent partner alongside him, I think when you put the likes of Chris Smalling alongside your Phil Joneses, your Lindelofs, those who are not terribly confident or haven't got a lot of experience in the league, looking at Lindelof, I think it's a bit of a horror show. So yeah, I can see maybe Smalling staying. Could Phil Jones could well leave, but I don't know. I think we'll probably keep the majority of our centre backs, and maybe that'll be it. Maybe we won't buy another central defender in the summer. So I don't think he'll leave. However, yeah, same as Paul, I think he probably should. Best centre back pairing for next season.
Go on, you take this one first then.
Well, Eric Bailly, number one, has to be definitely one of the first names on the team sheet, and who to pair him with. I'd love it to be Victor Lindelof. I really would. I hope that he gets the experience, he grows into the league, because I think those two would be a fantastic complement. Eric Bailly, raging bull. He's just literally sees red every time he looks at an opposition player, which is fantastic to have. And I think if you've got someone like Lindelof alongside him, his nickname is the Iceman, a little bit more calm, a little bit more composed. Again, it's shades of Vidic and Ferdinand, isn't it? Vidic, absolute madman, and then Ferdinand, a lot more composed, a lot more control on the ball. So ideally, if we can get them both up to speed, get them both gelled into the team and playing well together, that would be my ideal pairing.
Well, it's like I said when we spoke about the Brighton game. That's the pairing I would put in. We don't see enough of those two playing together, so I think that would be a good game to put them in together. Whilst Lindelof is getting better, when you look back at the beginning of the season, he was a bit shaky, didn't look very confident, which is normal for someone who's just joined a club like Man United. For someone that moves from one country to another in general when playing football, sometimes there's a period of adjustment. And that's what we've seen with Lindelof, and he has been getting better. He's not the finished article yet, but he's getting there. But I think I would like to see those two as our centre-back pairing as well. We were saying in the summer when they came in, this is going to be the new pairing. It hasn't quite worked out how we would like it to have done. I don't know if that was Mourinho's short-term vision, get them straight in together. He may have already had it in his head, this might take a season or two for them to gel properly. But I would like to see them play more often. Hopefully, it may not happen. Hopefully, we'll see them paired together a bit more between now and the end of the season. We're going to finish in the top 4 comfortably, I think. It depends how badly Mourinho wants that second place. We all want it so badly. I really do. I cannot stand the idea of Liverpool finishing above us as well as Man City.
No.
But if we see more of Bailly and Lindelof playing together for the remainder of this season, then who knows? It might happen next season. But I do think it will be Bailly and Smalling.
Yeah. Interesting one. And last but not least, Mr. Matthew McFadden. I don't know where I went with that. At Mafu, thank you. Again, had his work published by the official Manchester United account, so congrats on that, Matthew.
He did, congratulations.
Brilliant bit of graphics. I'm liking that. He says, how do you see the Liverpool game going if Pogba was available to play? Would we have been less effective due to him being on the ball a lot more than other central midfielders, or would they have completely outclassed them?
That's a good question. I think the result would have been different had Pogba played. I think we may not have got the win. I just think that because I think we were always going to play a 4-2-3-1 against Liverpool, especially when you consider the midfield problems we have. Pogba is part of that problem at the moment. He's not playing well. He doesn't seem to have any confidence at the moment. I don't know why. Don't know why that is. Hopefully that will change soon. But I just think that if he was put in that midfield too, I just don't think he has the mobility or the energy or the drive even to play that part, protecting the back four. The job that both Matic and McTominay did so well. So I think if it was Pogba in there, I think it would have been different. It's hard to say because he might have done something magical in an attack and assisted 2 goals. You just never know. But I think based on the run of form that he was on building up to that game, I think the right decision was to leave him out, even if he was fit. Apparently he wasn't fit and that's why he was left out. But I do think that he would have been left out anyway if he was fit. I think that Mourinho was always going to play a 4-2-3-1 with 2 players protecting that back four. I think that would have been his game plan all along. And I think he would have already made his mind up that it would have been Matic and McTominay occupying those 2 positions.
Yeah, I'd like to agree with you on that. I think that it probably would have been a lot different had Pogba have played. And I don't know what it is. I love Paul Pogba, but I don't think this system and this current crop of players complements him at all. I think if we want to see the best of Paul Pogba, we have to, and again I've been saying this for weeks if not months, we've got to build a midfield around him if that's the direction that we want to take it. You know, we've spent whatever it is 90 million quid on him. He's got the talent, he's got the ability, but he needs to fit into a system. He's not a player which is, you know, brilliantly adaptable, and we've seen that, you know, for large parts of this season. He can't play in, well, he can play in that midfield too, but not, you know, very reliably. And I think we need, you know, someone with a lot of energy, a lot of drive, and a lot of bite in that midfield to accompany him, to give him a little bit more freedom and to roam. So yeah, I think it would have been a lot different, and I don't think Jose could have done anything differently, really, from what he did against that Liverpool side to get the win. I thought it was pretty much tactically perfect. So yeah, I think it would have been different, and I'm pretty glad that he didn't play.
Cool. I think that's it. Excellent. Well, let's wrap it up then. Okay, Ash, thank you for joining me. Do you want to give out your Twitter details?
Yeah, so as always, it's at Ashboyo, ASHBOIO. I have had some discussions. I can't remember who it was, or otherwise I'd shout you out if my phone was by me. But yeah, thank you, people, you know, giving me questions, getting involved with discussions. I love it. So keep them coming, keep your questions coming, and keep your feedback coming as well on the podcast. It's always great to hear what you guys think. And yeah, and any pointers or any compliments, whatever. Not fishing for compliments, but anything that you, any thoughts or feelings you got on the podcast, yeah, chuck it over to us. Excellent.
Yeah, you can follow myself as well. It's at Paul Gardner LP. Follow the United Stand podcast, well, our podcast, this podcast, Talking Manchester United, at United Stand Pod. Tweet us, let us know what you think on the points that we've put forward today on the Liverpool game, the previews against Sevilla and Brighton. Would you line up differently? Would you like to see different players play? Give us your thoughts. Give us some tweets. If you're watching on YouTube, drop a comment, like and subscribe. If you didn't know, we have a YouTube channel. By the way, we have a YouTube channel. Just go onto YouTube and search Talking Manchester United. That's the name of the account. That's the name of the podcast. It will have United Stand branding on it. You'll recognise it straight away. But like and subscribe, share. We do appreciate it. And while you're over there, look up VanCam as well. Kev Ashford's VanCam. Absolutely fantastic. You need to subscribe to that. Weekly content. It's a good laugh. So make sure you do that as well. Thank you all for listening. Hope you've enjoyed the show. Hope you've enjoyed the new preview segments we've added into the podcast. I think it definitely makes the podcast a bit more dynamic, doesn't it, Ash?
It does indeed, yeah. It gives us a little bit more depth and a new dynamic to it. So yeah, it's nice. You know, sometimes it might be a bit longer. Obviously, we had 2 games to preview this week with the Champions League, but yeah, give us your thoughts.
Excellent. Well, that's it from us. We will be back next week. So thank you all very much for listening.